She walked in quietly, her gym bag slung over one shoulder and a shy smile on her face. Nothing about her screamed athlete. Dressed in loose clothes and worn sneakers, she didn't look like someone who came to lift heavy or break records. Most people barely noticed her, but the few who did, they exchanged smirks and sideways glances. Some whispered. Others chuckled, nudging each other as she made her way to the weightlifting area like she didn't hear a thing to them. She was just a simple woman out of place, someone they assumed didn't belong in a space filled with protein shakes, bulging biceps, and loud grunts. They didn't know her story. They didn't see the fire she had built inside over years of being underestimated. And they certainly didn't expect what was coming. As she stood in front of the barbell, the room's energy shifted just a little. A few people paused mid-rep. One guy leaned against the wall, arms crossed, smirking like he was waiting for a show. Another girl whispered, "She's going to hurt herself." The tension in the air was thick, part doubt, part mockery, and a tiny bit of curiosity. What was this woman doing? She took a breath, wrapped her hands around the bar, and the gym suddenly felt silent. No one was laughing now. Because the moment that barbell began to rise, it wasn't just about lifting weight anymore. It was about shattering every single assumption they had made about her. But what happened next? That left every single person in that room absolutely stunned. You won't believe how the energy flipped in a matter of seconds. Who ended up asking her for advice right after. Stay with us, because this is more than just a gym story. It's about strength, dignity, and one woman who proved everyone wrong. Her name was Mena, 43 years old, mother of two, and someone who had only recently stepped into the gym world. She didn't come from an athletic background. In fact, just a year ago, Mena couldn't even carry a full grocery bag without needing a break. Years of caring for everyone but herself had taken a toll on her body and her confidence. But something changed when she looked in the mirror one day and realized she was tired of feeling invisible at first. The gym felt like a foreign planet. Machines she didn't know how to use. Loud music. People who seemed to live there. The first few weeks, she stuck to the corner, quietly doing stretches and light cardio, pretending not to notice the stares or overheard comments. But she noticed everything. Every judgment, every giggle. Every trainer who walked past her without offering help. Still, she kept showing up, quietly, consistently. It was one trainer, Amir, who finally took notice, not because she asked for attention, but because he saw something most others missed. Grit, real grit. He watched her from a distance, how she moved, how she pushed herself just a little more each day. After a few weeks, he approached her. No big speech, no false praise, just, "You've got something in you. Let's see how far it goes." So they trained, slowly, patiently. Her hands got calloused. Her form sharpened. And over time, the weight she once struggled with now felt like air. She didn't brag, she didn't post about it. She didn't seek validation. All she wanted was to get stronger for herself. But today was different. Today, she wasn't invisible anymore. All eyes were on her, and not for the reasons people expected. They were watching because something unbelievable was about to happen. Mena was just getting started. As Mena stood with her hands wrapped around the cold steel barbell, the whispers started up again, low but sharp. A group of younger gym regulars near the squat racks exchanged glances. One of them, Jason, flexed slightly in the mirror and muttered, "She's going to throw her back out." Another girl, Talia, smirked and shook her head, scrolling through her phone, waiting for something to go wrong. No one expected her to succeed. To them, Mena was just a housewife trying to play lifter. The idea of her deadlifting 140 kilograms felt like a joke, but not to Amir. He stood just a few feet away, arms crossed, calm but focused. He'd seen Mina battle through injuries, sore mornings, and self-doubt. He knew this wasn't just about the weight hit, was about everything that led up to this exact moment. All the times she wanted to quit. All the days she showed up anyway. All the times she had to rebuild her confidence from the ground up. Meanwhile, behind the front desk, Sarah, one of the newer employees, was watching too. She had noticed how some of the other trainers avoided working with people like Minna, clients who didn't fit the typical before and after transformation mold. Sarah had overheard comments, subtle but stinging comments that revealed how some still didn't take women like Minna seriously in fitness spaces. And then there was Rhea, another gym member who had been quietly observing Minna over the past few weeks. Unlike others, she didn't judge. She felt inspired. She, too, had been scared to lift heavy, to take up space. But seeing Mina step up to the bar today was making her rethink everything. Still, tension hung in the air. Everyone waited. Number 1 moved. The bar hadn't left the ground yet. But what would happen when it did? Would Mina rise to the challenge, or would the weight of everyone's expectations come crashing down? The room felt heavier with every second that passed. Mina's heartbeat thundered in her ears, but she kept her eyes fixed straight ahead, refusing to look at the faces watching her. Some were skeptical, others amused, and a few like Amir and Rio were quietly rooting for her, holding their breath as if this moment meant more than just lifting a weight. Her hands gripped the barbell tighter, fingers trembling slightly. From the adrenaline, you could feel the weight pressing down, not just the steel plates stacked on the bar, but the weight of years spent being overlooked, dismissed, and underestimated. Every sneer, every whispered comment, every moment she doubted herself pushed down on her like a mountain. Jason shifted impatiently nearby, cracking his knuckles and exchanging a quick smirk with Talia, who was already reaching for her phone. Ready to catch her when she falls, he joked under his breath, loud enough for a few to hear. The murmurs grew, a mix of disbelief and anticipation swirling through the gym air like electricity. Amir stepped forward slightly, but stayed silent. His steady presence was a quiet reminder of the hard work behind this moment. Kenna had built herself up for this lift, not for the approval of others, but to prove to herself that she could. She inhaled deeply, summoning every ounce of strength and focus. The gym, usually noisy with clanging weights and chatter, fell almost completely silent. All eyes were on her. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. As Minna bent her knees and prepared to lift, time seemed to slow. This was it, the moment where everything would change. Would she conquer the impossible weight, or would the doubts and judgments finally break her? The gym held its breath, waiting for the answer. Just as Minna began to pull the barbell upward, a sudden loud crash echoed from the other side of the gym. Everyone's head snapped toward the noise. A row of dumbbells had tumbled off a rack, sending metal weights clattering across the floor. The unexpected distraction broke the fragile silence, and a few people jumped, their eyes flicking nervously between Minna and the mess. For a moment, everything hung in the balance. Would Minna lose her focus, the moment slip away under the pressure of the distraction? The room's energy shifted. Some saw it as an excuse to doubt her strength. Others held their breath, hoping she wouldn't let this break her. At that exact moment, Jason, who had been smirking just seconds before, stepped forward with a smug grin. "Looks like you're not the only thing heavy here," he said, loud enough for the whole gym to hear, clearly trying to get under her skin. The tension instantly rose, thickening the air with a mix of rivalry and challenge. Mina's grip tightened. The weight on the barbell was heavy, but the weight of judgment and this new challenge felt even heavier. She felt the eyes of every gym member piercing through her, some waiting for her to fail, others silently cheering her on. Amir's steady gaze never wavered, but even he looked concerned. This was no longer just a test of strength, but a test of character. Behind the counter, Sarah exchanged a quick glance with Rhea, who looked inspired yet worried. The distraction, the mocking, the weight tit all pushed Mena into uncharted territory. Would she rise above it all, or would the pressure finally be too much? The climax was coming fast, and the whole gym was caught in the suspenseful moment right before everything changed. Mena's breath hitched, but she didn't let the noise or Jason's taunts break her concentration. Slowly, with a strength that seemed to come from deep within, she began to lift. The barbell rose off the ground, the plates clanking softly. As they moved upward, the entire gym seemed to hold its breath, watching the impossible unfold. Muscles trembling but determined, Mena locked her shoulders and straightened her back, pulling the weight with a quiet power that stunned everyone. The smirks faded, replaced by wide eyes and open mouths. Jason's confident grin vanished, replaced by a mix of disbelief and respect. For the first time, the doubters were silent, speechless. She held the barbell steady at the top, chest rising and falling with controlled breaths, then slowly lowered it back down with perfect form. The room erupted not with loud cheers, but with a respectful hush and nods from those who had underestimated her. Amir smiled, proud but not surprised. Rhea's eyes sparkled with newfound hope. Sarah wiped a tear from her cheek, but just as the moment seemed to settle, the unexpected happened. Mena looked toward the entrance, where a man walked in, someone none of them recognized. He moved confidently toward her, carrying a clipboard. "I've been watching," he said quietly, his voice calm but firm. "You're stronger than anyone here imagined. You ever thought about competing professionally?" The gym buzzed with shock and excitement. Mena, the quiet woman once mocked and dismissed, now had a chance to rewrite her story on a bigger stage. The doubts, the sneers, the struggles all led to this turning point as she processed the offer. The weight of what she had just accomplished settled in. But this was only the beginning. The real challenge was yet to come. Mena stood there, heart pounding, as the weight of the moment settled in. She never imagined that stepping into the gym would lead her here, not just lifting 140 kilograms, but catching the attention of someone from the professional world. For years, she had doubted herself, let alone considered competing. But now, the idea wasn't just a dream. It was a real possibility. The people around her, those who had once mocked her, looked at her with a new kind of respect. Jason, who had been so sure she would fail, quietly approached and offered a nod of acknowledgement. It wasn't an apology, but it was a recognition of her strength, both physical and mental. Rhea, inspired by Mena's journey, shared how watching her had given her the courage to push harder in her own workouts. Even Sarah and Amir smiled. Knowing they had witnessed the start of something extraordinary, Mena realized this moment was bigger than the weights she lifted or the judgments she faced. It was about proving to herself that strength isn't just about muscle sits, about resilience, persistence, and believing in your own power. Her story wasn't just about one lift at the gym. It was about every quiet step she had taken to reclaim her confidence and rewrite her life as she left the gym that day. Mena felt lighter, not because the barbell was gone, but because she had finally shed the weight of doubt. The future was uncertain, yes, but it was full of possibilities. Her journey was far from over, and now she was ready to face whatever came next with courage and pride. This is a story about more than just a simple woman deadlifting 140 kilograms. It's a reminder that strength comes in many forms, and sometimes the most powerful transformations happen quietly, right before everyone's eyes.